Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here at formnext and our expert talk. In this edition, we will talk about the topic business founders, investments, and startups. And to start with, I would like to introduce my expert round, beginning with Dror Danai. Welcome here on stage from company XJet. From Israel, welcome. Welcome also to Terry Wohlers from Wohlers Associates. And last but not least, a warm welcome to you, Arno Held from AM Ventures.
Thank you.
This formnext is so astonishing. If you wander about the halls, if you go to the exhibitors, it really feels like a melting pot. One could really think this is not an industry, but well, a bunch of new kids on the block. Do you share this idea?
Oh, absolutely. It's now my 12th show here in Frankfurt, and in the past 5 years, the acceleration that we've experienced is tremendous. And at least from my perspective, if you're not in Frankfurt, you're not happening in the AM industry.
Good that we have this little TV show, so we can broadcast that throughout the world, right?
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Wohlers, how is your impression about this formnext in the year 2019? Has it become an adult status of this brand, of this industry, or is it still in the youth period of life?
Well, first off, if you're into additive manufacturing and you're not here this week, you made a big mistake, because this is the place to be this week. You know, we've had 30+ years to figure out how to use the technology for design validation, modeling, prototyping, and some forms of tooling. But the next opportunity, the big, where a lot of money is being spent, and even more in the future, is manufacturing, how to use it for production volume. So in some ways, we're just getting started with that. The prototyping and all, we know how to do that now as an industry.
Mm-hmm. Dror, you have already entered the stage of not thinking and talking about startups, but you have entered the phase of making money from this technology. So how does that feel? Is it still something surprising to you that you can make money with this AM technology, or has it already become natural for you?
Well, for me, it's almost 20 years. I think my first time here was in a previous show, which was about the same time, almost the same location in the Messe Frankfurt, called Euromold. And at that time, it was hard to think about making money with AM, and it took a few years until it started to be real. What's amazing about being here today and walking out of the booth and seeing the show, compared to 2000, we were part of a molding show. The additive manufacturing was not even called additive manufacturing at the time. It was 3D printing. And as such, it was at the end of the Euromold show. It took a place not much larger than this studio. Most of the big companies took a very small booth, and the whole space was about molding and other more traditional technologies. Today, probably the 20th time in a row being here in Frankfurt, it's completely different. It's all about additive manufacturing. I see a lot of companies making a lot of money, and you don't need to tell the story anymore. Yeah, you need to tell the story of your technology and your application, a little bit variations, but at the end of the day, people know what additive manufacturing, thanks to Terry, thanks to a show like formnext that took it to the next step, and many other things. It's in a totally different place now.
What I'm interested in is looking at the today's situation in the marketplace and how companies which plan to establish something new in this industry, how they are off. If they really can get investors' money nowadays, if there is still some kind of spirit of heavy investment, or has it all grown up into a severe and, well, serious situation? What do you think?
From my perspective, not at all. I mean, we still have to see additive manufacturing is still a very young technology. Casting is a couple of thousand years old, milling is 200 years old, and we are 30 years old. So it's still very immature, which is a lot of potential for startups, and I'm really happy to see that it's not this corporate style stiff upper lip kind of business. It's meeting friends and doing business with a really, really nice crowd of people with very inspiring, creative and passionate entrepreneurs.
And even the old economy companies who are exhibiting here, I won't name anybody, but well, belonging to the old industry, they even change the attitude and the kind of presentation here. If you look at the way they present themselves here, it's some kind of youth style, right, Terry?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's you have to continue to rethink and reinvent yourself, and you know, this young generation come up, embrace their ideas, and you know, what we know is exciting, but what we don't know is even more exciting, and there's so many possibilities. You equip people with powerful phones and 3D scanning and 3D printing, and you know, the sky's the limit. And I don't think we even know all of the possible applications out there. We're just getting started in many ways.
But let's come back for a moment to this point of investment. Dror, how is the international approach? Are they investors who are looking into the AM sector still and then looking to find new ways to invest their money? Is that still some kind of explosive industry?
Absolutely. I think I agree with my colleagues here. Definitely. People are still very excited about investing in AM. And you can look at the recent investments at our company and other companies. It's much bigger numbers than it used to be 20 years ago when we started the Object. But so it's much bigger budgets. You see more mature investors. People already know about it. On one hand, the possibilities are so much wider now. So many fields were not yet touched even. We were very surprised ourselves when I meet our first users and I talk to them about what they're doing with the technology, nothing that we expected. Completely different ideas in healthcare, in electronics, in other industries that were not on our business plan. A lot of new ideas, and each one of them can create an industry that is probably bigger than the 3D printing in general, if it happens. So there's still a blue ocean of opportunities, and the investor acknowledged that. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, you see maturity. I mean, when you walk in the show, whether it's talking to investors or talking to entrepreneurs, it's serious, they know what they're talking about, but still there's a lot to learn.
The question, of course, is when will the AM sector, the AM industry, be incorporated in the rest of the industries? And we know that the old industries are suffering at the moment, not only here in Europe, not only in Germany, but worldwide. There is some kind of economy dip that we are suffering from, even though the AM sector is still well off. But when will be the moment when those companies will suffer from this dip as well? Or isn't there any interlink between them, Terry?
Well, yeah, there certainly is. I mean, it's when manufacturing as an industry goes down in general, then it will bring down product development, which is tied to this industry. But companies are investing in this because they can reinvent themselves. For example, aerospace companies, they can do things that they couldn't do before much more quickly, less expensively, less weight. Same with healthcare industry, eyewear, footwear, power generation. For example, Siemens up in Sweden, they're doing these big gas turbine engines for power generation, and they're completely rethinking the way they design and manufacture product. And so it's really an opportunity for companies to leap to another level as far as being able to produce something that sets them apart from the competition. So if you don't embrace this technology, it isn't across the board. It's only certain industries and certain types of parts and products, but for those where it's applicable, if you don't embrace it at some level, you will probably go out of business, because your competition will. They'll produce better performing products, ones that use less material, are much safer in some instances, and just a superior product at a lower cost for certain types of products, not all.
When talking to some of the experts in the market, I can this year at least, I can often hear we have to look for standards. We have to standardize in this industry in order to interconnect on a global scale. On the other side, there are some startup companies who say, well, we don't want to know anything about standards because that tightens us to a certain kind of old school behavior. What is the right way to do it, well, properly?
It's a good question. Not sure if there is a right way, right? There's a whole bunch of startups that would tremendously benefit from standardization in the industry, especially if you develop applications, if you're looking for the high volume mass manufacturing markets. That needs a defined quality standard, very well defined interfaces, and that's where some startups build their success on. On the other hand, as you rightly said, there are many startups which benefit from an unstructured market and for the freedom to build new hardware concepts, for example. It's astonishing to me, especially this year, maybe in the past 12 months, how the variety of hardware concepts has almost exploded. So many different machine types out there. It was almost unexpected to us, and we scout. In the past 5 years, we scouted more than 1,200 startups. So we do see trends, and we do know what's happening in the industry. But this is astonishing, and I think this is also thanks to the immaturity and the lack of standards that helped a lot to foster innovation.
Dror, do you share this opinion?
I totally agree. I think if we take an analogy from biology, we're in an age of diversification. You know, in evolution, you have diversification and there is natural selection. If I look at your question, I think we are still in diversification. I saw many technologies, not straight competition with each other, because each one excels for specific applications. So the spectrum is becoming wider and wider. And naturally, and I don't think it has to do with economic cycles, I think it will be just over time, some of the technologies, some of the solutions will fit specific applications and they will survive, and the rest will need to reinvent themselves and create something else.
I can well imagine that some of the inventors, some of the startups in the market will have a look at our little show here and will try to find out what might be the hints that we can give them, what technology might be most attractive for investors. What should startup companies invent in the year 2019 to attract money in the market? Terry, what is your bet?
Well, they may not even be here. They could be, but it may not be machines. It may not be materials. It could be. It may not be software, but it could be applications. So the biggest investment that we found last year was an application, Smile Direct Club, where they are producing, maybe you've heard of Invisalign, a line technology, invisible braces that replace the metal brackets and wires to straighten teeth. Well, now that those patents have expired, other companies are practicing those same ideas. $380 million invested in this company to do these plastic invisible aligners, and without additive manufacturing, well, Invisalign, Align technology wouldn't be around, nor would this company. And so that's an application, and we're seeing the same kinds of things in other areas, such as orthotics. Dental is a really big one. Well, this is a dental application, but other forms of dental as well. And so I think, yeah, certainly machines, materials, and software. Software is a big need for all kinds of, if you look at the process chain, design for additive manufacturing, managing the process of all the machines. Let's suppose you have 200 machines at 20 sites around the world. How is that managed? And so those tools are being developed to help these companies get to the next level in additive manufacturing.
Okay, Arno, what's your recommendation?
I very well agree with what Terry is saying. I mean, this industry has seen great hardware concepts, great materials, softwares out there, but everyone has this thing in common, that the question is, where are the bloody applications? We start seeing this, the high volume is starting. One thing that we should add, in my opinion, is that materials are the key to the applications. We have to develop the right materials, and I see stunning developments. We now have finally a silicone printer by Spectroplast. We have people who have developed a process for industrial glass. Finally, it's there, and this enables new materials, which enables new materials, new applications, and yeah, applications.
Okay, so I'm quite confident that it won't be boring until next year, and I would propose that we four will meet again here on the stage and see how the industry developed in the meantime. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the moment, for this little discussion, and have a good remaining formnext here in Frankfurt. Thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow. Bye then.
Thank you.
Thank you.